I need to remove the left-hand carburetor off my 1303 Beetle, and there's a couple of reasons for this. One is because the idle jet keeps getting blocked, and the second is because I need to drill and tap the manifold for a vacuum takeoff for a brake booster. This electric brake booster has to go, so I'm going to get a vacuum line put into the car from the manifold. The other thing is that electric brake vacuum pump actually is what it is. It gives a very strange pedal feel. It kind of pulsates, so I need to do away with it. Now, I have been looking into it, and apparently there's a pressure switch available that you can put into the line, and it'll mean it'll only run when you actually need to develop vacuum. But I don't know. I just don't think it's the right way of doing it anyway. It was something I tried, and if I need to come back to it, I'm going to still keep that brake booster vacuum pump. And yeah, but for the moment, let's go the conventional route and stick in a vacuum line from, it'll be coming from number 4 cylinder actually. Removing the carbs from a twin carb Volkswagen Beetle, especially when you're running Weber IDFs like this, is an absolute pain in the Swiss roll. So just, there's no access, in fairness, none whatsoever. Like, you can kind of get down at the back, but the only thing is, the saving grace here is that when I was getting the bodgery done, I mean the bodywork done on the car, I actually got him to cut access panels in the inner wings. So it's one of the few jobs that actually got done right in this car. So yeah, I'll actually be using them to get in at the nuts down at the bottom of the manifold. And what we'll do is we'll take the carb with the manifold off as an assembly, and then we can take off the carburetor from the manifold. I want to bring the manifold down to a machine shop and get them to put the vacuum takeoff in, and then what I will do is I want to modify the carburetors. If you Google Weber Jet Doctor, it shows you a little standoff pipe basically for the idle air circuit in the carburetor. I can make something like that very easily, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to go down the route of actually buying something. I'll make something out of brake pipe. So yeah, that's what we'll be doing, and hopefully that will stop the bloody carburetor idle jets from blocking up with this thing. I also have to try and unblock them because the number 3 cylinder idle jet is once again blocked, and the thing idles like a dog. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. All right. So first thing we need to do is just remove the air filter. That's just a couple of wing nuts on the top, and then that pops off. Now I noticed that my little oil breather that was going into the top of the air filter housing is actually pulled out. So it's supposed to be threaded in there. It looks like the threads are actually pulled. So what I may have to do is use a bit of JB weld or something like that to just reattach it. The JB weld is great stuff and it will stick. So right, next thing to do is take off our HT leads, okay, because they are in the way of the nuts, and I'm actually going to jack up the car because it'll give me better access to the hole in the inner wing, and then we can we'll take off our carb linkage, and we need to take off our fuel line obviously as well. So yeah, I have the battery disconnected by the way as well, so there's no risk of any sparks or anything like that in the engine bay here. It's very important to do that because one spark, and you're dealing with a fuel system, could burn a whole rig down and your garage along with it. So yeah, better safe than sorry on that one. There's also a vacuum pipe that goes on here for the vacuum advance, but we'll get to that now in a minute. All right, so I have an axle stand and everything in under there now too. I didn't bother taking the wheel off. I don't think I'll need to, but if I do, then I can. Right, so that's the 2 HT leads off there now, and are we going to be able to easily get at that? I should be able to. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a 13mm quarter drive socket. Have a look and see now what we can get in at it with. So there's a quarter drive ratchet anyway. And get the easy one off first, and I'll see if I can get an extension with a wobbly on it to get in at that. All right, so 13mm socket with a wobbly extension on, and that's one. nut loose. Alright, get that off. Okay, now that's the easy one. The hard one is down the far side. And what I'm thinking I might do is use a long extension to get down the back of the carburetor and try and pop it off there. So let's see if that works. Alright, might just be able to get it here now. Yes, happy days. Wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Usually it's an absolute pig. Well, it's not out yet, mind. So let's get that nut off there, get that all out of the way, and then we can take our linkage and our fuel pipe and vacuum pipe off, and then we'll address the situation on the bench. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run down to the engineering shop with the manifold and get him to TIG weld that in. I don't know whether we'll be able to do it today or not, but at least it's out of my way and I can worry about the carburetors then. That's the linkage off. Now there are springs inside the linkage that must be retained. Alright, so that's that one out. Okay, so now next thing to do is I'm going to see if I can wangle the carburetor out of there a little, enough to be able to get the fuel line off the back of it, okay? What's stopping it from coming off? Ironically, that vacuum pipe, I think, that I wanted to try and get off. Okay, now we can get our fuel line off easily. There we go. That wasn't actually that bad. Normally this is an absolute pig. But yeah, so right, next thing to do is to separate the carburetor from the manifold. And the vacuum pipe is going to just go there. Alright, it's literally just four 13mm nuts on studs that need to be taken off in order to remove the carb. Actually, they're 12. Alright, now. I'm just going to have a look at the gasket here and make sure that that's alright. It looks to be fine. And keep the gasket there. Okay. Alright, so that's the carb removed. So I'm just going to leave it over there for the moment, because this is our area of concern at this point in time. So we need to have a vacuum takeoff put here. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a clean, and I'm going to make a black spot where I want it. Bring it down to the engineering shop with the fittings that I actually have and get them put in. There should be enough vacuum pressure from the one cylinder, but if there isn't, what I can do is I can take the one off the other side and get the same done there, and that would obviously give us 2 cylinders then. But we'll see how we go with the one first of all. I've heard a lot of people saying that one is actually enough for a brake booster in a Volkswagen camper van, because the Type 2 T2 would have had a brake booster in some instances as it was. So if you're running twin carbs, you'd need to probably do this job. Beetles don't normally have brake boosters. I'm all for supporting local business, but there is absolutely no reason why I can't just do this myself. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I have all the tools and the resources to do it, so let's do it. Obviously, it is vitally important after I'm finished this to make sure that there's no swarf left inside the manifold, because that would really ruin my day. So I have a 1/8 NPT fitting to go into this. So all right, so we're going to go to 8mm. That should do the trick. I think it just might. Let's try and tap that out now. All right. There's plenty of meat there on that, actually. I think that might be strong enough without having to do anything else. I was going to get a fitting TIG welded into it, but I don't think we'll need to do that. That's treading in there nicely. Okay. A little bit of PTFE on that wouldn't do any harm. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to use some tread lock on it. And technically, you shouldn't need to use tread lock on NPT threads, but given the location of it and the propensity to vibrate loose, I think we'll just go belt and braces on this. The other thing is the Loctite will help to make an effective seal. You don't want this leaking. All right, now let's get a spanner on there. That, my friends, is going nowhere. That's the right job now. I'm happy with that. Okay, so next thing to do is clean out all the swarf from in here, because there is quite a lot now, and we will start having a look at the carburetor. Alright, so now let's move on to the carburetor. The issue I have at the moment is that number 3 idle jet is blocked, as I said. So that's one of the things we have to fix. The other thing is that I need to stop it from happening again, because these Weber carburetors are an absolute pain in the face for blocking idle jets. Now, some people have conflicting views about this, but I'm talking about my own personal situation, and the fact that there's actually a kit made to stop it from happening would suggest to me that I'm not the only one. So instead of buying the kit, let's modify the carbs and use what we have. First thing we need to do is remove the velocity stacks and the the air cleaner base. All right, so there's the velocity stacks off. And there is the air cleaner base off. Okay, so let's put them over there. We're going to need to drill holes in that air cleaner base at some point or another. But let's get that nut out there first of all. There we go. Now, okay. So we need to carefully remove this gasket. We are going to need the gasket, okay, but let's just get it off and put it aside. Now I'm going to show you exactly what we're actually dealing with here. Now, in here is where the air is taken in for the idle circuit, okay? Now, the problem there is the fact that this is at a low point in the carburetor, so any dirt that does get in, and you can see that there is dirt that gets in past the air cleaner, is going straight down in there and straight into your idle air circuit, okay? And that's where the problem lies, okay? So what we need to do is we need to make standpipes which actually lift that air takeoff up into the air cleaner airstream without picking up all the dirt down the bottom. And we're going to do that with probably about 1.5 inches of brake pipe, and that will do the job nicely. First of all, let's get our jets out of here, okay? So we shall use this big screwdriver, and that pops out. It's worth. I'm just going to keep everything in the orientation in which it was removed. So that was actually, yeah, swap them around there like that. And now we can take these 5 screws out. And this will allow us to take off our carb top. That gets you into your float bowl. Actually, the idle air circuit, the holes are actually over here, over on the other side. See this here and this here? That's where it goes in. But you can see all the dirt on the carb top there. Like, I mean, that's That's only going one place, like. It's a bad design. I'm sorry, Weber aficionados may well disagree with me on that, but it is a bad design. Now we need to take this off as carefully as possible without killing the gasket. And turn it over. Okay. Now here are our culprits down here. Okay. Now you can see these little pinholes. And that one there looks to be blocked. And that one there, that's actually the one that's causing the problem there. So what we need to do is we need to actually make a pipe that comes up through the carb top and comes up into the air filter. Yeah, I'm going to take the float off here so that that's out of our way. It's just a pin that goes through there, and then that just lifts off there, and your needle jet comes out along with it as well. So that's going to go over there for the moment, and then we can take our gasket off and put that over there. See, annoyingly, the existing holes don't line up with the actual. They don't line up with the ports here. But to be honest with you, I don't think that's actually going to matter, because if I were to drill those out and just bring standpipes up from there, then that would do the same thing. I'm just thinking aloud here now at the moment. All right, so I have some brake pipe here, and I just want to measure the outside diameter of it first of all and see what we're actually looking at. And 4.5. Okay, so a little over 4.5. All right, so what I want to do is I want to actually cut a piece that's about 60 mil long. All right. And we're going to... putting them in those holes actually will work. Other people have done it the same way. And in actual fact, the Jet Doctor does it that way. So that's what we're going to do. I can tell you now, folks, if this cures my problem with the bloody idle jets blocking, I'll be a very, very happy man, because it's so annoying. Now, it's like a little mini pipe slice thing here. There we go. Now, okay, so there's our piece cut off. Okay, now I'll clean out the inside of it now in a minute. Okay, so I need to find a suitable size drill for actually making the hole in the carb top. If I go to 4 mil, I'll see what I have. I'll see. The problem is I might not actually have anything that'll do the trick. Okay, so I have a 4.5 mil drill, and this is probably more like about 4.6. You know what? It's a vernier calipers, for God's sake. So let's actually take an accurate measurement. So we have 4.7. Okay, so that will do the trick. Right, okay. So let's get to it. Now I'm gonna clamp this in the vise if I can, so that at least it's nice and flat. And then we're gonna drill it and try one of them and then see how we go, and at least we can go on to the next one then afterwards. All right. Right, so let's hope we got that interference fit we were looking for here. Not too bad, folks. Not too bad at all. I'm going to just actually put that on the edge of the bench here. Well, actually, no, we'll use the little anvil thing on the back of the vise and just tap it down home, and then hopefully that'll do the trick. All right, so I'm just going to tap this down home now and see how we're looking. If we need to, I can take it out again and put some JB weld on it or something to keep it in place. Pipe is bent a little bit. Try and straighten it up. Yeah, it's going to have to be JB welded in. I'll have a think about it. Okay, so you see here, I've just put the slightest little bit of JB weld on the tip of it here. So that's going to be enough to just hold this in place. So let's get it installed. JB Weld is brilliant stuff. For those of you who haven't used it, it is absolutely extraordinary. Often works out to be stronger than what it is you're actually trying to fix. I think that's a fairly neat job. Now, I just the pipe bent a little bit again when I was knocking it with the baiting stick. So we'll just straighten it up a bit if we can. You don't work hard in it either. It doesn't really matter if there's a slight bend in it. It's really just, it looks gash. To tell you the truth, that's the only reason for it. So let's see now if I can close the jaws of the vice on it. That'll actually, no, I won't. I'll do it this way. All right. So that's that one done. So now we have to do the other one. All right. So I'll get another 60mm piece of the brake pipe and we'll put it in there. And there we go. Right, so that is one of the two carburetors modified to stop the idle jets blocking. So I'm going to do the other carb and refit them to the carb. But first of all, what I want to do is I want to blow out all the idle jet circuit in that carburetor, because obviously this cures the prevents it happening again, but the fact that it's actually blocked now is one of the things we need to address. So the idle jet holders are these two lads here. So they're the first things we're going to take out. And then I'm going to take out the bypass screws here as well. And we're going to blow out all of those passages and see how we're looking then. I'm hoping that actually when I take this one out now that there is a great big blockage in it, and that's exactly what's causing my problem. Let's see now, just holding it up to the light. Looks fairly blocked, all right. I think it actually is, yeah. Okay, great. As I said, that's what we want to find. If this is anything to go by, they're both blocked. I'm going to blow them out by hand, well, by mouth first. Yeah, they're not blocked. Okay, right. So let's leave them be for the moment then. Now I need to charge up my compressor, but for the moment, let's get these out as well. Okay, so let's see. Half, one. Well, it's one, okay, so. Alright, that's looking fairly gicky. It's got a gicky point. So let's leave that there and take this one out as well. Let's see, half, one, 1.5. Let's see, that one's clean then. Alright, so let's see now. Right, so I'm just charging up my compressor, as you can hear in the background there. So what I've done is I've written 1.5 there and 1 there. Okay, so that's basically the number of turns we're going on our mixture adjustment screws. So we're gonna blow out these points here, and then the two little lads who are actually causing trouble up here in the first instance, we're going to blow them out as well. Now I'm also going to go and get a little piece of wire that we can use to poke them out. Alright, so while the compressor's charging up there, poke that out and that one out. Alright, so we have a bit of air in the airline here now, so let's Right, so it's fair to say they're not blocked now, okay? So let's get these back in, okay? And what I'll do is I'll actually just put a smear of something on those, well, let's see, hang on. So I don't want to kill the O-ring. So actually put it on first. Then wind it in. I'm going to give the carburetor a little bit of an external clean as well. Now I do intend to get this car back up to Ben Lawrence again to get it all finalised. But the thing about it is that he's like, for things like this, like little modifications and things I can do at home in my own garage, I may as well do them myself. So that's one, and let's see, we went 1.5 on this one. Half, 1.5. So yeah, no, I only went half on that one. Alright, okay, so there we go. So now, should be within the ballpark. So now I'm going to refit the carb top, and I'm going to make 2 more holes in the air filter base plate to accommodate those 2 extra pipes that we've put in, and then clean the carburetor externally and refit it to the car. Alright, so that's that. So now we are going to need to transfer or make holes in this plate here for those pipes to come up as well. Okay, so they're going to be, the way we're going to do it is we're going to actually use the gasket to mark it, because obviously the gasket needs to be punched as well. Alright. Pretty straightforward. So it'll be right in the middle of that bit there and that bit there. Now these are clearance holes, okay, so it's not really as big a problem. It's not as critical to get them an interference fit. I mean, these literally just need to make room for these, so we'll be probably going like a 5mm hole or something like that. One thing I unfortunately don't have is a hole punch. So this is just a little kind of it's an internally threaded bolt kind of thing. And it works an absolute treat. Look at that. Now if this fits on without incident, which it absolutely does, then that means we can now transfer our holes into our carb top, or our air filter base plate. So there we go. So we need to make a hole there and there. Simple as that, he says. Before he makes a complete balls of it. All right. So there's our marks. So let's get them drilled. All right. So we're going to go with a 5mm hole. All right, let's see if that fits. If I get that first time, I'll be a very happy man. The reason I made them 5mm and not a bit bigger is because I at least want to be able to, if they actually fit at 5mm, then I will engage smoke mode. If I have to drill them out to 6mm, that's all right. Smoke mode engaged. Grand. Right, okay, so that solves that problem. Hopefully. Because if it doesn't, I'll go bloody bananas. Now, so let's see. Put them on next. Happy days, they fit. That would have upset me greatly if they didn't fit. So let's put our jets in first of all. I'm actually going to blow them out as well, and then once you've them blown out, I'll refit them, and then we can get our velocity stacks back on. They do make a difference, by the way, velocity stacks. Okay, the carburetor is now finished, and I'm happy with how that turned out. So right, okay, next thing, like obviously, yeah, brass tube would have been nicer, but let's, if you want to go brass tube, then go right ahead. But for the moment anyway, the brake line will do the job absolutely fine, and when that JB weld sets, they're going nowhere. Last job I need to do on this side is to refit this pipe union into the top of the carb bowl. If you're wondering what this is made of, I actually had a pair of pipes coming onto the top of the air filters and then blocked off and a centralised air filter. It was great for quieting down induction noise, but then I found out at a later stage that a huge amount of the induction noise was caused by the fact that there was a channel going from the body to the from the engine bay into the interior of the car up along the roofline. So when I fixed that solved the problem. And the other thing as well is it sapped a bit of power. Alright, that is going nowhere. So I put the pipe back onto that then when we refit the carb. So it's basically an oil breather. There's one breather that comes from the crankcase via where the fuel pump used to go, and the other one comes from the oil pipe, the oil filler neck, and goes into the other carb. Okay, so it's a few days later, and as the weather gets better, it's really spurring me on to actually get this car ready for the summertime. So yeah, I'm pushing ahead. I've made a few discoveries though along the way. One is that this screw here that would hold down the nozzle for the accelerator pump in the other car was actually loose. So what I did was I actually took the top off the carb on this side as well, just to make sure that that they were tight, which they were, by the way. But yeah, so that's grand. They were all tight, but one of them, well, it was very loose, like, you know. So that's been put right now anyway. And the other thing is, I'm an absolute div because where I put the vacuum pipe takeoff is right in the way of the bloody spark plug lead. So that's going to be great fun altogether. I'm just going to get a flexible HT lead. It will go onto it. It's just a bit awkward is all. The Bakelite ones or the plastic ones just don't go on really. So yeah, kind of annoying, and it was my own stupidity really. I could have kind of planned that a little bit better. So realistically what I should have done was put the vacuum takeoff on the kind of the side closest to the engine or the other side, and it probably would have been a lot better. Anyway, look, you live and learn. The other thing I did is I ordered a new set of HT leads for this engine. I ordered a CSP bell crank linkage instead of the hex bar linkage, and the bell crank linkage is supposed to be a much better job. So it'll also look neater as well, which is not really a huge consideration of mine, but it is a consideration nonetheless. So yeah, I'll be fitting that as well. It hasn't arrived, it's not in stock with my supplier, but he'll be able to get it over the next couple of weeks. And what I'll do is I'll probably do just a quick video on me installing the bell crank linkage. But for the moment anyway, we're going to be reinstalling the hex bar linkage there. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to refit that carburetor on the right hand side of the car and see how we're looking then. Okay, so the carb linkage is all back on. The carburetors are obviously refitted, so that's all moving freely. So let's give it a go and see what happens. First thing we want to do is turn on the car, get the fuel pump going, fill the float bowls, do a leak check and make sure everything is right. Just making sure there's no petrol squirting out the throat of the carbs or something like that. It's all good. I'm not smelling anything either. Okay, so I'm going to just open the door and we'll crank it up and see what happens. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to get the engine warmed up. There obviously is an issue there. It's not picking up on one cylinder. So what we'll do is we'll find out why that is. I'm sure there's a reason for it. It's just a case of finding it. Okay, I have you back on the radio mic now anyway, so you'll be able to hear me. But it's definitely down on the cylinder, but we just need to find out which one. But the problem is I can't let go of the accelerator pedal when it's this cold because it'll just cut out. Gonna idle for me. It's still number 3. I just cannot get that bloody carb to sort itself out. Well, the modification is done. The hard part is over with. Now it's just to get, well, I say that and yet still need to get it running right. But yeah, now it's literally just a case of getting the last couple of bits and pieces sorted out and getting the tuning tweaked. But I'm just going to get it within the ballpark, and then I'm going to be getting Ben Lawrence to do the fine tuning. I will be bringing it up to him over the next while. Nice one. The bumper flexed when I sat on it. I'm not that heavy. Right, okay, so yeah, I'm going to just leave it there for the moment, because what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take the MGB out and use that for the few days I'm off. And I will come back to this, and in this video you will see me getting the better of this. I'm a firm believer in walking away from a job and coming back to it at a later stage when you've got a fresh head, because I realised when I was sitting down relaxing the other night that I completely forgot to reconnect the vacuum line to the distributor. So that was going to be giving me a major air leak, so I was never going to get it in tune that way. So fluting around with the settings on the carburetors was a futile exercise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to baseline settings, just in case putting those standoffs has actually upset the mixture a little bit. And then we can give it a little tweak just to get it running as well as I can. And then what we'll do is we'll get it to Ben and get him to do the final tune-up on it. But yeah, first thing to do, I'm going to get it out on the road and I'm going to give it a bit of a spin and just get some heat into the engine, and then we'll go from there. Still not sounding very happy, but that's because we need to get it dialed in properly. Let's get it out of the garage anyway. I know I just drove over something expensive. Yeah, it was just an aerosol can lid is all I drove over there. It was transparent, so I didn't see it. But yeah, it's driving like crap because it needs a tune up. So yeah, we'll get there. Very hard to get any bloody heat into the engine when everybody in front of you is driving at 2 miles an hour. It's always the way, isn't it? Now we're in business. let's see how we do now. Sounds better already. Alright, you know what? I'm not going to flute around with it anymore. To be honest with you, I don't know enough about what I'm actually doing here at this point of the game. So I do know what I've done now is actually going to make a big difference to the carb idle jet's blocking. And certainly the number 3 idle jet is not blocked anymore. So that's a big win on its own. So I'll leave it be. It's good enough now to drive, and I can certainly get it up to Ben or get him to have a go with it from down here. We'll have to have a chat about that. The other thing I want to do now at this point in time is I got a length of blue hard plastic vacuum tube. So I'm going to run that the length of the car down to the brake booster and get rid of that electric brake booster pump and get the plumbing finished. I also got some rubber hose as well that I can use for doing up all of the flexible vacuum lines and that as well. So I have everything I need there to do that. So let's get that done as well. Okay, so the annoying vacuum pump in the front of the car has now been disconnected and the new vacuum line has been run. It wasn't nearly as difficult a job as I thought it was going to be actually. I was able to route it up alongside all of the wiring going to the front of the car. So I was actually able to just feed it in through there. So I've used this blue, I think it's polyurethane tube, which will do the job nicely, and it's joined on down there through a non-return valve into the manifold, and then it comes through here. I'm going to pull a bit of slack through there actually. Comes through there and goes down along here. Joins up there. Now I would have preferred to have had black hose, but sure, look, you can't win them all. And then it goes up along here and then into the in under the bonnet. Comes up under the bonnet, along here, loops around and connects up here. So I think that does the job nicely, and then this little yoke here is disconnected. And if I find that I need to reconnect it at some stage or other, I'm going to leave it there for the moment. And if I need to, if I have to put it back in again, it's literally just a case of taking this hose off here and popping it back on there. So yeah, look, it all seems good. What I did was I started the engine with it all connected and everything seems all right. It doesn't strike me like there's a major air leak or anything like that anywhere, and the brake pedal changed feel when the engine started, so I was definitely getting some vacuum pressure there. So definitely it's doing something. I have to still take it out on a drive and just make sure that it is an improvement. I would be very, very surprised if it wasn't, and to be honest with you, I'm going to call it here at this video, and if there is a problem then we can just pick up the video and I'll just throw an extra scene onto the end of this. But if there isn't an extra scene at the end of this video, then just assume that it's right and that I'm a happy man. So anyway, look, thanks a lot for watching, folks. I hope you gained a bit from this video, and yeah, please do hit the subscribe button before you go, and I will see you in a future video. Thanks for watching.